Morning, Western Montana. Wanted to pop in for another YouTube live update for our weather today, as well as looking forward to the next couple of days. And we'll also touch on some updates with our fire information that has been slowly coming in throughout the morning. So if you can give me about 30 seconds to a minute, I'll flip the cameras around and, well, the camera around and show you those live conditions across the area. For most of the region, we're talking nothing but sunshine this morning, but that isn't going to last all too long. Later on this afternoon, we will see showers and thunderstorms start to take shape, especially down across southwestern Montana. So I'll be back in just about 20 to 30 seconds or so, and we'll fully get started in this update. All right, there we go. That's working here, and right now it does look like my chat section is starting to work as well. So I say let's get rolling with this. If you have any questions or comments as we go throughout this update, certainly feel free to ask them in the chat section, and I'll get to those those questions, and I'll try and answer them as best as I can. So thanks for tuning in this morning. Right now, all is quiet across the region, much like we saw yesterday morning. Very nice start to the day. We've seen those temperatures starting off in the 40s and 50s. We're now warming into the 50s and 60s, and we're heading to much warmer conditions as we go throughout the afternoon. So I'll take this in a little bit closer. But as you can see, just a few fair weather clouds on our Missoula camera, high altitude clouds on our Butte camera, though we did see a little bit of rain in the mining city this morning from a few showers, maybe a weak thunderstorm or two that rolled through areas along the divide. And the reason for this has been our southwesterly flow. We've been talking about it. We talked about it yesterday, but we talked about it approaching last weekend, and still all being driven by this large low pressure system, and it's been sending little disturbances right around that southern edge of it. Disturbance number 1 moved through yesterday. Here comes the next disturbance. You see that little localized spin across Oregon. That's going to bring us more thunderstorms this afternoon, and you see more of those disturbances in the atmosphere further back off to the south and west. Those will continue to move through our region, keeping us active. So we're in this squeeze play between the trough, the ridge of high pressure to our south and east, and the only way that any of this moisture can go is right into our region. So that's really the setup that we're in, and this is what's going to keep our weather relatively consistent for the next few days. As for those temperatures, near to slightly below average on our temperatures. 86 Kalispell, 87 Missoula, 77 in the mining city, 82 in West Yellowstone, and 85 for Bozeman. We could see a few showers and thunderstorms for northwest and west central Montana. It's a very low likelihood, only around 10 to 20%. It's as we get into areas from the central and southern Bitterroot south and east that we increase those rain and thunderstorm chances. Now with those, we could see some brief heavy rainfall, and maybe even just with some slow-moving thunderstorms, heavier rainfall. This is why we actually do have a flood watch that'll be in effect for the afternoon and evening hours. This includes Lake, Missoula, Ravalli counties, as well as Granite, Deer Lodge, Powell, and Silverbow counties. So Missoula, Polson, Hamilton, Butte, all included in these. The main concerns will be at our higher elevations, where we could be talking about some brief, again, localized heavy rainfall, and if that happens to fall right on top of one of our old burn scars, I think that's going to be our biggest concern, is if that happens and we get debris flows that start coming down the mountains. Hopefully it's not something we deal with. Hopefully those showers and storms avoid those areas, but with the amount of moisture that is going to be associated with this storm system, or at least this next disturbance, that is a little bit higher with the flood risk as compared to yesterday. But I think later on this week, especially Thursday and Friday, we're going to see that a little bit higher area-wide with a more compact storm system that's likely going to impact the region. So for today, again, most of west central Montana, really stretching from about the Flathead Lake area south through the Bitterroot Valley and east to the Divide is where we could see at least some localized flooding for this afternoon. In addition, there is also a severe weather threat And this is primarily going to be focused for areas east of Interstate 15, so really along and east, I should say. Butte is not included in this, but you see the marginal risk in green, the slight risk here in this yellow, and as we were going through the morning show, that was actually extended further off to the west, and does that slight risk was now including areas right on Interstate 90, so Bozeman back over to Livingston, north up to areas near Townsend, like I think just a little bit south of Townsend, but in that zone we do have that risk for wind gusts exceeding 58 to 60 miles per hour, and even some hail up to about 1 inch in diameter or larger. The reason for the increase in the probability, or at least that slight risk increase, is actually for the increased hail threat for Bozeman and areas just to the north and then east from there. Within that dark green zone, maybe not quite as much of a hail threat, but the winds will be our biggest focus for this afternoon. But you see most of the area in this more general thunderstorm, light green, it could still see some gusty winds out of that, upwards to about 55 miles per hour, but not as much, at least, impact as things look right now. And into parts of Lincoln, Mineral, and Sanders counties on the far western side of those counties is where we may not actually see any kind of thunderstorm activity for today. So let's go into Future Tracker and we'll kind of time this all out. So we'll start off very quiet. We're going to continue to see just a few fair weather clouds, probably till about 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when we may see our first showers and storms start to develop across the area along the divide, higher elevations of southwest Montana. But watch how this lifts north, coming in from Idaho. You see some more of these individualized cells moving off to the north. That's going to be really our main story, or main focus for this afternoon. As that is lifting north, we'll see those gustier winds potentially reaching to, again, the Interstate 90 corridor, Bozeman, back over towards, say, Three Forks, Whitehall, Cardwell, Butte, and Anaconda, as early as about 5 to 6 o'clock in the afternoon. This particular model runs maybe just a tad slower at getting that in there around 7 o'clock, but you see even some of these intense storms outside of that severe risk area, which is further off to the east. So that said, strong storms will be possible into the southern Bitterroot Valley, over towards Georgetown Lake, up over Scalcahoe Pass. But notice once we get beyond sunset, a lot of the energy of those thunderstorms begins to fall apart. Not completely, though, so this is the window where maybe Missoula, Clinton, Drummond, over towards Garrison gets a little more involved with that chance for some showers and storms. These will continue to lift north into parts of Jefferson and Broadwater County before those all start to fall apart into Wednesday morning. We're going to be left with mostly clear to partly cloudy skies once again. Then the afternoon, here comes that next round of thunderstorms, and this one maybe, I'll say, a bit more widespread across the area. I think they're going to actually be less in coverage, though, as compared to what we see on Tuesday. You see northwest Montana getting a few of those thunderstorms right along the Canadian border, and then we'll see that next round moving in from the south. Very similar pattern, south to north with that southwesterly flow. And we see more thunderstorms really on this line from about West Yellowstone up to Dillon, over to Wisdom. This is looking in that 5 to 6 o'clock period. Those will lift north. Could lead to some impacts into Bozeman, but more likely in towards Butte, where we see at least that higher chance of showers and thunderstorms Wednesday afternoon and evening. Continuing on, we'll quiet down into Thursday morning. We'll rinse, repeat, and here we go again for Thursday afternoon, though one difference Thursday as compared to Wednesday. I think that the coverage of these thunderstorms may be a little bit higher as those lift from south to north. And watch how these, maybe Bozeman doesn't see quite as much. Don't take this as the exact way this is going to happen. This is just a rough idea of how this may play out. You notice how these heavier thunderstorms really take shape from areas west of Three Forks, which is roughly in there, back over through Butte, moving into the Bitterroot Valley. Well, that's a trend we'll have to watch, because that'll lift northward into the I-90 corridor, back into west central Montana. So from Drummond back over to Missoula, out to near Lookout Pass even, where we could be talking about a few stronger thunderstorms. and that'll continue to move off to the north with this low pressure system into Friday morning, though we may see a little bit of a break again Thursday morning. I think the difference here, though, showers and thunderstorms for west central northwestern Montana probably continue into Friday morning as well, not dissipating the same way that the storms for today, Wednesday, and at least the first part of Thursday will behave. There's a little bit more upper level support to keep those going overnight, even as instability falls. And that's really just going to be the trend. We're going to be looking at that daily chance of showers and thunderstorms right around 40 to 60% for most areas all the way through Saturday. The exceptions to this, northwest Montana. Oh, let's see if I can get that to focus in. Let me readjust that. There we go. I think the video has stabilized there. Okay. So, getting back on track, 40 to 60% likelihood for west central southwestern Montana during this time period. The exception will be northwest Montana, where really for the next few days I think we're going to be in that 10 to 30% range. It isn't until we get to Thursday, Friday, and Saturday I think this is more consistent for the entirety of the area as compared to southwest Montana. Things may start to dry out just a little bit Sunday into Monday, but we've got a little bit of time to watch that. Models are still a little, I wouldn't say uncertain, but there's still a lot of questions for the latter parts of this weekend and early next week that still have to be deciphered out. So if you have any questions about the thunderstorm chances for the next few days, even that flooding threat, feel free to ask those questions in the chat section. We're going to just jump really quick into the fire outlook and some of those updates that we're seeing. We're going to continue to see wildfire smoke moving into the region. Hopefully not too bad, all things considered, but we're still getting big pushes of smoke from the Big Bear and Rush Fire down into southwestern Montana now. In that 9 to 12,000 acre range on both of those fires, so quite large in size, and they're the largest in our area. But then we also have these three fires back into Washington: the Hope, Lake Spokane, and the newly developed Clayton Road fire. That'll be bringing some of that smoke in, primarily into northwest Montana with that southwesterly flow. Those three will bring it roughly in this direction. Now, getting a little bit closer into home, looking at our local fires, starting off with I'll start off going in this zone. So Dearborn Fire, this is just across the divide, roughly in areas between Helena and Great Falls. That fire is up to about 150 acres. The Sucker Creek Fire, which is closer to Lincoln, kind of on the north and west side of Lincoln, is up to 80 acres as of last update. Then we get closer into the Missoula, Bitterroot Valley areas. The Deer Fire, we're still consistent with that. 75 acres, 90% containment. And then we have really three fires in this zone. So I've got the Butte Cabin, Miller Gulch, and then we also have the Dalles Fire, which I could add because they're all very close to one another. Just looking at some of the heat signature maps right now, they're all less than 10 acres, but the Butte Gulch and the Butte Cabin and the Miller Gulch fires do have a little bit more activity on them based on some of the heat signatures and the satellite imagery that we are seeing right now. So those could have at least some updates as we go throughout the day later on this afternoon. Then dropping down to the Dominic Point fire, that is looking at around 20 acres as of the last update, which was from yesterday. Continuing south, the Lost Horse Observation Point fire, that is currently at just over 100 acres, 105, with, I believe, 57% containment on that particular fire. So making some good progress on the Lost Horse Observation Point and Deer fires. The rest of these I do not believe have containment, or at least any kind of containment numbers on them at this time. So that'll be something we continue to update over the next few days. Biggest concern, at least when it comes to the fires that we're dealing with right now, yes, we could get some pretty decent rainfall on some of these fires, but we're also going to be dealing with wind and lightning, and that could lead to new starts. These starts spreading out a little bit further, and as will sometimes happen, you can get the rain to the heaviest of the rain to just miss the fire one direction, or you just get a little bit of rain on the fire, you get those gusty outflow winds, and even get new starts. So it really just comes down to a bit of the luck of the draw, where those storms pass through, and is there enough rain to keep any new fires at bay, or any of those existing fires really to help to push them down and bring that activity down. That's one of those we just have to watch and see how the day plays out and how the next couple of days will play out as well. So that's where we are on our fires locally, and the ones that'll be producing smoke that will slide into our area. For this afternoon, showers and thunderstorms will be expanding in coverage, especially in southwest Montana. Tonight, we'll probably see most, if not all of those, begin to fall apart after sunset. That's going to leave us with partly cloudy skies into Wednesday morning. But just like we've seen in recent days, we're going to see those afternoon showers and thunderstorms, maybe a bit less coverage for Wednesday. Still could produce some heavy rainfall, but then we get into that Thursday, Friday time frame, and I think we'll at least have a better chance at more scattered to widespread shower and thunderstorm activity across all of western Montana, if not the entirety of the state. Northwest portions of the state will have that best chance for wetting rains, which is rainfall over 1/10 of an inch. Though, if you just happen to get underneath one of those stronger cells, you could pick up a 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch in a quick hurry, and that's going to be the case for today and tomorrow as well. It's a big reason why we have that flood watch that'll be in effect for much of west central Montana, because if they stall out, they could just drop a heavy amount of rain, and if that's in the wrong place, especially towards a burn scar, that could come down the mountains pretty quick and start to fill some of those low-lying areas up pretty fast as well and lead to debris flows. Again, hopefully something we don't have to contend with, but the potential is there. So I think with that, I will wrap this up. I haven't seen any questions or comments pull in. If you have any photos or videos of the showers and thunderstorms that we're going to see today, if you happen to see, flooding in your area, and of course, with any of these, do so safely. If there's lightning going on in your area, get indoors, stay there. But if you can do so safely, certainly share those photos with us at nbcmontana.com/chime-in. And then tune in tonight for our live broadcast at 5, 6, and 10 for the latest news and weather updates. And then, of course, tune back in tomorrow morning for NBC Montana Today from 5 to 7 a.m. with me and anchor Jason Hurst. And we'll have the latest updates on fires and everything that we can do, or that we find out overnight, and what we catch while we're all sleeping. So again, thanks for tuning in this morning. Have a great, what day is it? Great Tuesday, and a safe one as well. And I'll see you all in the next one. With NBC Montana, I'm meteorologist Mitchell Combs.